Have you ever watched a brilliant executive stand at the edge of a financial cliff, peering down into the abyss of a catastrophic decision, fully understanding the mathematics of disaster, yet feeling the gravitational pull of crowd pressure threatening to send him tumbling into the void anyway? Because that is precisely the moment General Manager John Lynch is navigating right now, and the noise surrounding the San Francisco 49ers heading into this 2026 NFL Draft has reached a fever pitch of irrationality that demands immediate surgical intervention from our war room. The most dangerous time in the entire NFL calendar is not the trade deadline, not free agency, and not the scouting combine. It is the 48 hours before the draft commissioner steps to the podium, when the accumulated desperation of an entire offseason of unmet needs crystallizes into a single, terrifying impulse, the urge to trade up. And right now, a narrative is bubbling with dangerous momentum through the deepest corners of the internet, whispering seductively that Lynch needs to bundle his assets and make an aggressive leap up the board to address the 49ers' glaring positional voids. Our intelligence center is locking the doors, pulling the blinds, and conducting the most uncompromising audit of the specific draft strategy that this platform has ever witnessed. Let us begin by establishing the absolute, unfiltered geological reality of the draft board currently sitting inside the Santa Clara War Room. The entire ecosystem of the NFL Draft is engineered on the powerful illusion of elite, franchise-altering talent. Every network, every podcast, every analytics platform thrives on the manufactured excitement of blockbuster trades and desperate lunges into the top 10. But you cannot fabricate a generational talent into existence simply because your depth chart has a gaping, bleeding wound that needs immediate medical attention. And the analytical community has now reached a brutal consensus about the specific 2026 class. It is a structural anomaly of historic proportions. When the most respected scouting voices in the business look at the absolute summit of the draft board and determine that running backs, off-ball linebackers, and safeties represent the premier, blue-chip talent available, every single alarm bell inside your analytical infrastructure should be screaming at maximum decibel level. This is not a minor quirk or a slight positional imbalance. This is a seismic signal about the fundamental quality of the talent pool. In the modern, relentlessly analytics-driven National Football League, positional value is not a philosophical preference or subjective opinion. It is a rigid, immutable mathematical law carved into the foundation of every championship roster ever assembled. You build dynasties by locking in elite quarterbacks, terrifying edge rushers capable of bending the corner and collapsing pockets from impossible angles, dominant offensive tackles who protect your most valuable asset, and explosive wide receivers who stretch defenses to their breaking point. The devastating truth that must be hammered home before any discussion of trading up can even begin is this. Players currently being mocked in the middle of the first round of this draft would not hear their names called until late 50s or early 60s in a standard, robust, healthy draft class. The first-round grades being distributed by the media machine right now are inflated beyond any reasonable measure of objectivity. They are mirages shimmering in the desert heat of draft season. And if you are John Lynch, operating a franchise desperately trying to maximize a suffocating championship window while simultaneously managing the most complex salary cap situation in the organization's history, mortgaging your future to trade up for a player carrying a second-round evaluation dressed in first-round packaging is not aggressive roster management. It is executive malpractice of the highest order. Now we must conduct a precise audit of the actual ammunition sitting inside the 49ers draft war chest, because the geography of their available capital tells a fascinating and highly instructive story. They hold their first-round selection, currently positioned at number 27, and their second-round pick. But here sits the massive, unavoidable hole in the middle of the spreadsheet. There is no third-round pick. That selection was already liquidated, converted into the premium currency necessary to secure a quality starting defensive tackle via trade, a veteran acquisition designed to fortify the defensive interior immediately and address a genuine, urgent need with a proven commodity rather than a developmental gamble. That was a sound, defensible decision. But the absence of a third-round pick means a franchise must now compensate through creative maneuvering. To address that missing bull in the magazine, the front office has assembled something genuinely fascinating. A war chest of 4 fourth-round picks. 4. The amateur fan, the The casual observer scrolling through mock drafts at midnight looks at that collection of mid-round capital and immediately sees trade bait, ammunition to package together and launch themselves into the top 15 of the first round, where the names carry more recognition and generate more social media engagement. The elite, mathematically disciplined executive operating under real financial constraints looks at those 4 fourth-rounders and sees something entirely different. Extraordinary maneuverability in precisely the tier of the specific draft where legitimate, authentic value actually resides. Let us apply our scalpel directly to the positions generating the most urgent trade-up conversations. The defensive secondary has produced names like Dylan Thiemann and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, prospects who have generated genuine excitement and legitimate scouting interest. They are outstanding collegiate athletes who have demonstrated real production against legitimate competition. But we must ask the single most brutal, unforgiving question in all of roster construction. Are they transformational enough to justify the volume of assets required to move 10 or 15 spots up the board? The answer, delivered without sentiment or hesitation, is definitively no. This is not a judgment of their character, their work ethic, or their professional ceiling. But if a prospect is not walking through the doors of a facility on day one and immediately elevating every single level of your defense, if they do not carry the rare, almost supernatural ability to erase half the field through positional dominance or generate turnovers purely through intimidation and instinct, they are not trade-up candidates. You welcome them enthusiastically if they slide into your lap through the natural movement of the board, but you never, under any financially sound framework, chase them. The defensive trenches deserve equal scrutiny, because this is a sacred ground where Lynch and Shanahan have historically constructed their organizational identity and competitive edge. The 49ers are perpetually hunting the next terrifying edge rusher to deploy opposite Nick Bosa, the next athlete capable of making an offensive coordinator lose sleep on Thursday night preparing a game plan. Names like Keldrick Falk from Auburn and Zion Young have entered the conversation with legitimate scouting support behind them. Would either of them help the San Francisco defense generate the kind of sustained quarterback pressure that was catastrophically absent during the 2025 campaign? Without question, you can never possess too many explosive, technically sound athletes attacking the pocket from the edges. But the strict parameters of disciplined asset management demand that we draw an unmistakable line. Falk and Young are solid, high-floor prospects with genuine developmental upside. They are not Myles Garrett. They are not the kind of generational, gravity-defying, strip-sack artists who justify emptying the entire war chest in a single, desperate lunge up the board. They are quality complementary pieces in a class overflowing with complementary pieces at every level. And now we must confront the most seductive, most psychologically dangerous trap embedded in this entire draft landscape: the wide receiver position. The perpetual drama surrounding the 49ers receiver room, combined with the approaching salary cap apocalypse triggered by Brock Purdy's extension, means a franchise must continuously restock the perimeter with cheap, explosive, system-ready talent. Enter Jordyn Tyson from Arizona State, the prospect whose highlight reel has been hypnotizing scouts and generating genuine draft board movement. At 6 feet 2 inches with fluid, mesmerizing movement skills and a demonstrated ability to tear the top off opposing defenses and manufacture massive momentum-shifting plays, he looks on pure talent evaluation like a textbook Shanahan weapon, the kind of perimeter creator who would thrive in the spacing and motion principles of the outside zone attack. But front offices operating with genuine competence do not draft highlight reels. They draft human bodies, medical histories, and durability profiles. And you cannot, under any framework of responsible corporate governance, ignore Jordyn Tyson's deeply concerning medical background. We are discussing a player whose lower extremities have repeatedly failed him at the most critical junctures of his collegiate career. When you are stewarding a franchise that has been systematically devastated by the injury epidemic over the last several seasons, when championship aspirations have been derailed repeatedly by ligaments surrendering and bones fracturing in the cruelest possible moments, deliberately inviting additional medical volatility into your building is not a calculated risk. It is a betrayal of the rigorous, exhaustive evaluations performed by your own medical staff, the professionals who have seen the x-rays and read the surgical reports. Trading up for a player whose body has demonstrated a pattern of structural vulnerability is not aggressive roster building. It is aggressive self-destruction. The verdict emerging from our intelligence desk aligns with perfect precision alongside the cold, uncompromising logic demanded by this specific situation. The answer to the trade-up question is a resounding, absolute, non-negotiable no. Not this year. Not with the specific constellation of available prospects. Not with the salary cap reality pressing down on every financial decision like a hydraulic vice. The San Francisco 49ers will be served infinitely better by exercising the hardest, most undervalued muscle in the entire executive anatomy. Pure, unwavering, disciplined patience. The mathematical reality of this draft class is that the wide receiver available at pick 27 does not carry a significantly superior grade to the receiver who will still be sitting on the board at pick 58 when the second round begins. When the talent separation between adjacent tiers is this compressed, when the gap between the first-round grade and the second-round grade is measured in fractions rather than the wide, obvious chasms of a genuinely elite class, the entire financial justification for trading up evaporates completely. You are paying first-class prices for business-class products. The discipline to recognize that distinction, to resist the gravitational pull of manufactured urgency, is what separates the general managers who build sustained dynasties from the ones who generate spectacular headlines followed by catastrophic roster collapses. The 4 fourth-round picks represent something genuinely powerful in the hands of a patient, creative executive. They are not just draft selections. They are currency, leverage, and optionality simultaneously. If the board develops favorably and quality slips into the second round, Lynch can consolidate those picks and organically move back into the third-round tier, plug in the hole created by the defensive tackle acquisition without sacrificing the premium assets that must be protected at all costs. If a highly graded prospect unexpectedly survives in the back half of the second round, he can strike with surgical precision, moving up from 58 without the catastrophic cost of a top 15 trade.